Hey, welcome back to the Coffee with Creators podcast. My name is Rob Balasabas. I'm really glad that you're here, glad that you found this podcast, glad that you came back. If you've been listening here already, really glad to have you here and join us in the community. My name is Rob Balasabas. I'm the host of this podcast. This podcast is all about the creator economy. We get to talk to creators, influencers, people in different brands, talent agencies and talent managers, really the people that make things happen in the creator economy. My day job is with a company called uscreen.tv, where I'm the head of partnerships and community. And so I live and breathe creator partnerships all day, every day. I get to travel to a lot of different conferences and see a lot of different folks in this industry in person, and feel, that I have a pretty good grasp of what's happening, what's the latest in this industry. And so in this podcast, on this YouTube channel, if you're watching this on YouTube, my goal, my mission is really just to share the mic with as many creators, thought leaders in this space as possible, and to share that message with other creators so that they can also build a revenue stream or multiple revenue streams around their content and really build a business that is sustainable, that they can, really support themselves, of course, support their families, but also live a life that is balanced, that you can enjoy while you're building it and enjoying and sort of, not just always working and being in the, rat race and hamster wheel of this economy, this business, this industry that we're in. And so, I invite you to join us, be part of the community simply by listening and sharing this podcast with other folks, commenting, whether it's on the YouTube channel, YouTube video version of this podcast, or connecting with me on LinkedIn or Instagram. And also, we're going to be launching a private membership where we can actually collectively, connect with each other and discuss different topics and help each other out, and also have, members only live streams and things like that. And so that's going to be coming down pretty soon. So make sure that you reach out to me or go to the link in the description or show notes of this episode, and you will find a free guide that you can download on how to launch a membership, and that will actually get you on our mailing list so that you can get all the latest updates of when we launch our membership. All right, so there you have it. Before we jump into today's episode, I'm really excited for you guys to meet my guest. But before we do that, we got to do some housekeeping. We got to go, and show love to the folks that support us, and that is StreamYard. StreamYard.com. Head over there. I love StreamYard. They're the best live streaming platform tool that is out there today. And not just because they sponsor this video. That's not at all. I don't allow or take sponsorships on this channel, on this podcast, with any tools that I don't use myself. Okay, so anything that I talk about, you can trust that I use it, that I've vetted it, that I've tested it, and I know the people behind the brand. That's really important for me. Okay, and so I love StreamYard. I've met Franz, Joanne, Julie, all the folks, Dan and Gage, the founders. I've been using StreamYard for probably over 5 years now, and I just love the platform. It's my go-to platform when I'm live streaming or creating content, to be completely honest with you. And so you don't have to download anything when you're using StreamYard. It's all based on, it's all browser based. And so it's really easy. You can use it anywhere you have a browser and internet. And even on your phone, you can actually use this on mobile as well and live stream there. You can live stream to multiple channels at the same time, which is great. You get your message out to as many people as possible on YouTube, on LinkedIn Live, on Facebook Live, all the channels. And so it's really, really easy. It makes you look really professional with banners and overlays. It's just the best. So make sure you go check out StreamYard. Head over to the link in the description or in the show notes, and you can get started with a free trial of StreamYard. All right, so that is StreamYard. Thank you, StreamYard, for supporting this episode. Now, I want to introduce you really quickly before we go to the interview to our guest. His name, pretty sure I got his first name right here with this Jan. Okay, Jan. Jan van der A. Okay, he is based in Belgium. Bright guy. If you guys are in the course game or memberships, this is the guy you want to meet. All right, he is the founder of Creator Empires. Okay, and Creator Empires is basically an agency that helps creators build courses and memberships. All right, he works with some of the biggest creators in the world: Emmy Wong, Marina McGilko, Ali Abdal. They're on his speed dial. they're WhatsApp friends, right? They're WhatsApp friends. All right, and so there is Jan and his also his co-founder Ollie. They've got a podcast as well, which I was actually on not too long ago. There it is, actually. There is the episode right there, and we talked all about partnerships and courses and memberships. And so he was able to return the favor and join me on my podcast here. And so I really hope that you enjoy this conversation. It's packed with a lot of value, just a lot of wisdom and knowledge and experience that he shared with helping creators build sustainable businesses through memberships and courses. And so I'm going to throw us over there into the conversation. And before I do, I just invite you to please share this with another creator and also leave a review either on Spotify or Apple. That really goes a long way into getting this episode and also this podcast to more creators just like you. All right. See you in the episode here. See you in the conversation. Hey, Jan, welcome to the podcast. Thanks for taking some time, man. I know you just got back from a pretty big trip in Israel. Yeah, tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so my name is Jan. I run Creator Empires, and we essentially help YouTubers in the education space build an education business, right? So it can be in the form of a course business, it can be a membership. And as you said, just came back yesterday from Israel, went to NAS Summit in Tel Aviv. A Creator Summit, right? I know that in the US, you guys have lots of events related to tech, marketing, the creator economy, but here in Europe, we don't have so much. So whenever there's an event in Europe or in the Middle East, I try to be there as well.
Yeah, nice. So this is Tel Aviv. Like, I'm showing some pictures. If you guys are watching this on the video version of the podcast, some photos here from Jan's Instagram. Tel Aviv looks nice, man. Weather looks good, and then you guys had like this private sort of invite to Nasir's house.
Yeah, that was nice. Funny. That was funny, right? So the organizer of the NAS Summit is, of course, Mr. Nas Daily himself, Messiah. And just before I was about to, it was just before I flew to Israel. I received this invitation. Yeah, I was saying like, on Tuesday we're going to visit Nasser's house, and you are invited. And I was like, but I'm flying back on Tuesday. So I had to reschedule my flight, and nobody really knew what this was going to be about. But they organized a touring car, and we visited Nasser's house up in the north of Israel, small town called Araba. Yeah, and we met his family and some friends, and he even gave us a tour through the family's house. And
nice.
At a barbecue. It was not a barbecue, but we had some good Israeli food or Arab food. I don't know what it was, maybe a mix.
Beautiful.
It was really cool that they organized that.
That's awesome. I mean, if you guys are not familiar with Nas, he's a great guy. I've spoken to him a couple times. During, I want to say last year, we were doing some things, and he had this. He runs these big events in Dubai. I don't know if you've gone to them. I have not.
Yeah, all of them.
Oh, you have gone to all of them. Yeah, I mean, they're like at these like very grand resorts, and I'm like, okay, cool, this is great. What's the ticket price and stuff? It's like, oh no, it's free. It's all free. the UAE is our sponsor, so you don't need to pay anything. Just come. So it's very interesting.
Yeah, they have some really good sponsors. The tickets are not for free, but they're cheap. It's only like
they're not cheap.
$200 or something.
They're fairly cheap. Yeah, for what you get. Yeah, I mean anyways. Yeah, so they've been doing some big things there. He also has a platform, Nas.io, which is an interesting one. We were just chatting a little bit about that. It kind of combines. I guess I've never actually played with it, but you have, Jan. Combines
Yeah.
WhatsApp and a platform, and sort of building a community and also selling digital products, courses, that sort of thing, memberships as well. So
Yeah.
yeah,
We're
interesting.
all we're all running around in similar circles, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Courses,
yeah.
communities, online education. Yeah, those guys are also into that.
No, that's good. So was it mostly creators or founders or people involved in the creator economy, brand people like myself? Like who was in
Yeah,
attendance?
so usually like if you go to one of their summits in Dubai, I feel like I mean it's always a mix, but I feel like the events in Dubai are more content focused. I mean the
Mm,
people who go there, right? They want to learn how to become a content creator. Whereas yeah, Tel Aviv, startup nation, everybody
yeah,
is in tech. Like if you're
yeah,
not in tech, you're not really playing the game. There's
right.
lots of this participants of this event were very entrepreneurial. Um, Everybody was in tech, and of course there was also some content creators. But yeah, a big mix, very
Big
tech
mix.
focused this time. Yeah.
Oh, no, great. What's like one learning, one takeaway that you took away from the event?
Okay, so I was just talking to my business partner
Yeah,
like a few hours ago, and I was thinking about this, right? Because usually when I usually travel alone, and then by the end of the trip, I give everybody in my network or it's
yeah,
people who are subscribed to the mailing list like an update with the takeaways.
yeah.
And let me first ask you this question, Rob.
Sure.
Where do you think the creator economy is? Like, is it going well? Is it going bad? Are creators making more than ever? Are they making less than ever?
Well, that's a good question. It's a really good question, Jan. I think in general it's going well. I think there's starting to be a separation of creators in terms of ones that are becoming, um, businesses in terms of like a media company or however you want to put that, sort of the next stage
Yeah,
beyond being a creator. I think there's
yeah,
lots of creators, lots and lots of creators. I think tools, lots of platforms. But I think there's a separation between creators now and entrepreneurial creators, creators that are actually making a business, hiring team
yeah,
members and that sort of thing.
yeah.
That's kind of where I think it is. This point where there's a bit of a starting to be a separation amongst the big creator group of people called creators. They're starting to separate. There's a few of them that are starting to separate themselves now.
Yeah, so a few years ago, we only had YouTubers, right? People
Yeah.
with a camera in their hand making
Yeah.
videos, and some of them took it to the next level.
Yes.
Like Mr. Beast, like those guys they have a media production company now, right?
Yes.
And then there is, of course, some of the traditional media that move towards YouTube. So those are, I guess, also part of that group, digital media companies, right?
Yes.
So these are like the bigger companies, and now we have the individual creators. Um, so one thing that I learned, I mean, I talk to lots of agency owners. I mean, like talent agency owners, right? So
Yes.
they deal with sponsorships and creators and like AdSense,
Yep.
deal with these numbers every day. I also talk to some guys, like some of the bigger guys in the industry, like that do startup investing. They invest in startups in the creator economy.
Yep.
Who work with like companies like Spotter, who do
Yep.
like big deals. And they basically said, can I swear on the podcast? I mean, I usually don't do so. They said, I didn't say,
Go
they said,
for it. Go for it.
they said
Be yourself.
they said, everybody is fucked. Nobody is making as much money as they were last year.
Hmm.
This is the worst moment in the creator economy since 5 years.
Interesting.
Shorts killed everything.
Yeah.
And, and that's it. And I was surprised to hear that because I run a small group with content creators. Smaller, I mean, yeah, I'm going to call them YouTubers, content creators. These are not like big digital media production companies, right?
Right. Right.
And for those guys, things are actually going quite well.
Yeah.
Shorts have helped some of them grow their audience. They've managed to transition some of that, or to convert some of their shorts audience into long form um, content fans or subscribers.
Yep.
They're thinking about ways to diversify from YouTube AdSense and sponsorships. So they're building courses, they're building communities. And for those guys, things are actually going quite well. Things are going better every year. So I was surprised to hear that. Like if you look at the big players, that for many of them, things are actually not going so well. Not just for big content, but also for startups in the industry. So I think that was my biggest takeaway. I didn't really see that.
That's what you're hearing from the event.
Yeah, like from the bigger players, right? So
from the bigger
players,
who run
talent agencies or who work with, who make investments in startups who are active in the industry.
Interesting. I think there's winners and losers, right?
Not really?
Yeah, I think there's winners and losers, right? In all these things, I think I look at your roster and the people that you're working with on your website, right? If you guys go to Creators Empire or CreatorEmpires.com, you'll see everything that some of the things that Jan is working on and his team. But you guys are doing some big things. Obviously, you guys help creators build courses, build memberships. So you're already talking to them about getting away from, let's pick one example here. Ali Abdal. Everybody knows Ali. I actually got to see him at the Kajabi conference a couple weeks ago. Him and Angus Parker, great guys. He had a great talk. And last week I was actually at the ConvertKit conference, and listening to the folks there. ConvertKit has a really interesting audience, Jan. A lot of professional creators. They really dub themselves as professional creators, and so I noticed that a lot of them, they obviously have a newsletter, which they are monetizing through sponsorships, through other things. They use it to sell their courses, their memberships, things like that. But they also tend to have a podcast, because I think Nathan Barry, who's the founder of ConvertKit, has a podcast, really strong podcast. So I think they followed his footsteps. So they have a podcast, typically, newsletter, and then some type of digital product and also coaching. They seem to be that group that is really separating themselves and getting away. There's very little talk about AdSense, very little talk about making money from the TikTok Creator Fund or Instagram Reel Creator Fund, right? They're not relying on these platform revenue streams. They're building their own. Jay Klaus, for example, this guy, he's one of the speakers. He is, I think, geared towards, he just put a post, I think he's geared towards about $600,000 in revenue this year, with about 200 or 200 members in his community, in his paid membership, right? And so, this is sort of the thinking that I think there's going to be creators out there, if they don't diversify their revenue, working with, experts like yourself to build courses, to build their own products outside of the platform. They will, unfortunately, probably either feel like, hey, this is not a good business anymore, and leave the industry, or sort of be late to the party, right? And guys like Ali, Jay Klaus, these guys will already have made their fortunes, and because they're already building these other programs, So,
I mean, I think it's really important to mention that. So one of the trends that we've been seeing, I think, is as you mentioned, right? Newsletters. And newsletters is something, I mean, people did that 15 years ago, right? But I have the feeling like it's coming back, right? Like if you look at like Tube Filter, or even like Ali Abdal with his, how does he call it? His Sunday snippets, or
something like that. Yeah.
And then he has his own podcast, and also like when we look at Colin and Samir, they launched their own newsletter. Like there's all these niche newsletters popping up now, and there is a lot of power in that, because yes, it's a way to engage with your community. But what many people don't know is that you can actually also monetize those newsletters.
That's right.
If you have an audience, if you have 100,000 people on your list who open your emails, who are interested in what you have to offer, who are interested like in that same niche, who are highly engaged, that's worth a lot to advertisers. So there's all these ways to diversify and rely less on YouTube. It's building courses, building memberships, it's speaking gigs.
There's so much going on.
There's all these things that you can do, and I'm sure that that there was a lot to that the guys at the conference where you were.
Yeah.
I'm sure. Yeah, there's lots of things.
There's lots.
To learn from that.
I mean, yeah, even the newsletters are so old, but it's sort of having this new version. Substack, ConvertKit. ConvertKit does this thing, and this is not a sponsored episode by ConvertKit. I feel like we're talking so much, but they launched this thing where they called the Creator Network, so that if I subscribe to your newsletter, Jan, after it'll say, hey, you may there's a pop-up that'll say, hey, you may also want to subscribe to Colin and Samir, Ali Abdal. That's so cool. Now these creators are 5x, 10xing their new subscribers, right? Because it's like, hey, if somebody subscribes to Ali's newsletter, he will then may recommend your newsletter, my newsletter, some other newsletter, vice versa. So now we're cross-pollinating all of our lists, right? Very organically.
Yeah.
Cool. Also, they are doing programmatic ads. Creator Network, ConvertKit just purchased, they announced that they acquired this company called Spark Loops. And so now you can put programmatic ads in your newsletter. And so brands can sponsor any newsletter. Say, I want to sponsor newsletters that are talking about health and wellness. And ConvertKit will be part of that transaction, but will place your ads in all the footers or somewhere in all the newsletters. I want to say, I want to get 50,000 impressions on my ads in your network of health and wellness newsletters. Done. Like, that's part of it. And then they're also doing sponsorships now, and they're facilitating sponsorships of the newsletter. So, again, those are things that it's not going to be a full-time business for somebody, but it starts to add up with your multiple revenue streams, right? If you're thinking smart, right? Because then from the newsletter, then your actual newsletter can then, of course, nurture your own list to purchase your courses, to purchase your memberships. But by the time that happens, you've already monetized your newsletter a little bit, right? Through these other revenue streams. So, yeah, it's a very interesting. The other thing that I heard, I think you'll enjoy, is that somebody said, and I wrote it down because it made so much sense to me. The value of content is going down, but the value of this experience, this experience of transformation, this experience with a community connection, that value of that stuff is going up, right? So it's interesting that we're kind of in that space, but that's the latest. So okay, so you're in Tel Aviv, and now you're back home, back to work.
Yeah, now I'm back home, back to work. I'm really thinking, because I asked like one of the bigger guys at the event who works with the startups and with lots of big YouTube channels. I said, so what's the solution? What's the solution to all of this? AdSense is going down. Shorts are killing everything. What's the solution? And he didn't really know. So I'm trying to answer that question, and I guess that's what we're trying to do together here today. Really diversifying away, and I do think that it's much easier if you have an educational YouTube channel, right? So if you're watching somebody like Ali Abdal or a Thomas Frank or channel where you learn how to play the guitar, how to learn a foreign language, how to do YouTube, how to work out, right? Fitness. I think these channels are quite easy to monetize off of the platform by offering memberships, courses, and newsletter. I think it's more difficult with entertainment-driven channels. All right, so if you look at now, I need to come up with a good example off the top of my head, right?
Like a Mr. Beast, right? It's a little harder.
Yeah. He's an exception because he's so big, right? He's so extremely big. He got all the attention. Yeah. Like if he only had 1 million subscribers, good luck.
Only, right? Yeah.
I mean, of course you can sell merch. Everybody can sell merch, right? But you're not going to make much money of that. What else can you sell in that situation? Can you start a newsletter? About what? It's not really. So I think that entertainment is much harder to monetize. I'm not really sure what the best way is to to do that. Maybe just become so big that eventually you can charge a lot for sponsorship deals and you can launch your own franchise restaurant, but haven't really figured it out.
Yeah, there's some other ways that you would need to monetize it. I mean, I guess that kind of brings me to one of the questions I wanted to ask you today and kind of discuss is, how do you see, even educational creators or creators that have some type of educational bend, how would you now describe courses versus memberships in your world? Because this is your world, right? Creator empires. How do you guys describe that or decide between which two or the combination or blend of these two types of models?
Yeah, so we talked about this a bit on the interview, on the episode where I interviewed you on my podcast.
That's right. On this podcast.
I think, I'm not really sure what we said there, but I think if you ask me the question now, I have to answer the question now. I think the first question is that I would ask myself is, what is the best vehicle, or what is the best way to deliver, to transform the information, right? I think if you try to come up with an example here, right? So, example, Xiaoma, right? This white guy speaks Chinese, shocks Chinatown. That guy, Ari Smith. Name of his channel is Xiaoma, 6 million subscribers. We have been working together for years. What people want to learn, so for people who don't know him, he learns a language in only a few weeks, and he goes out there in the streets of New York, and then he surprises native speakers with his language skills, right? A few weeks ago, he went to, you should watch that video, that was really crazy. He went to the Amazon in Ecuador, and he took like a boat. They drove down the river for like 12 hours, and then they ended up in this village. It was like a tribe's village. There was like a few hundred people living there from a certain tribe. I don't remember the name. And that tribe was only discovered like 40 years ago. And he learned the language of that tribe.
Wow.
So, of course, they were shocked. And then he went hunting with them naked, because they go hunting naked. On his bare feet. So he was running through the jungle on his bare feet, completely naked.
Wow.
Hunting monkeys with how do you call it, like a blowpipe? I'm not sure what it's called. Crazy
with
stuff.
like the arrow with the sort of
yeah.
With a straw kind of thing. Yeah, nice.
Yeah. And then, so people want to know how the hell does he learn these languages, right? So he has like this big secret. Okay, my method. So I think if you have a secret or a system, I think the best way to sell it is in the form of a one-off course. To begin with, right? So we see that with most of courses that are like high ticket, like here's how you start an online business, here's how you launch a YouTube channel, here's how to learn a foreign language. In this course, you're going to learn the basics on how to play the guitar. Like, I think whenever you're selling a system or a secret, I do still think that the best way to sell that is in the form of a one-off course.
Yep.
However, people learn the secret, and then they need to practice, right? Because that's the only way to become good, and you need accountability. So I think so Amy Wong, for example, right, biggest YouTuber in Hong Kong, has a workout channel. She does home workouts, fitness.
Right.
All the information is already available for free. All her workouts are available for free on her channel, right? So what are you going to sell? People already have the information. The only thing they need is the implementation, right? And fitness basically comes down to accountability. Like, are you doing your workouts? Do you have any questions? Staying motivated. So I think in that case, selling a membership community is actually a really good way to provide more value to your audience. So one-off courses, if you have a big secret or information, if it's just the implementation, I think memberships work best. It can also be a combination of the two, right? So first you sell a course on how to day trade the stock market.
Right.
High ticket course, right? Because you're teaching a money making skill, a few $1,000s.
Yep.
And then after you finish the course, you actually need to, well, you need to trade by yourself, and maybe you have questions, or you need some support, and you want to know what other people are making their day trades. So yeah, for those things, I think a combination of the two is really good. First, we teach you how to do that. First, we teach you the skill, and then we're gonna help you getting better at it by offering this community where you're gonna get support, accountability, while we answer your questions. And also, people just want to be with and talk to like-minded people, right? I mean, there's a reason why we go to all these conferences.
That's right.
So, I think there is a world for both. Rob, I know this is a very long answer to your question, but I'm not finished yet. Is that okay?
No, that's good. Keep going. This is great. This is good for me to know.
So
I love
the first
everything
question
you're saying,
is,
man.
what is? Yeah, all right. So the first question was, what is the best way for me to transfer the information that I have, right? And then the second question is, what do I want to build? What business do I want to build, right? And I think this is a question that's often forgotten. I have worked with creators. English with Vanessa is an example. Back in the day, she had like 4 million subscribers, basically a channel for people who want to learn English, right? I think she has 4 or 5. I don't even know. She started a membership many years ago, and it was going very well. She was making tons of money with that. But then she got kids. She got a first kid, and then a second kid, and then she got really busy. And then she sent me a message, Jan, things are going well, but I'm running this membership because people always told me to start a membership because that's how you make recurring revenue. But actually, I'm getting tired of it because I feel like I'm stuck on a hamster wheel. I need to keep pushing out content all the time. This is no longer a business model that I want to commit to. Can we turn like all that membership content that I have and turn it into a one-off course or multiple one-off courses? I said, well, we can try. So we did that, like step by step. We shut down the membership, and we basically we did a big turnaround, right? And yeah, we built a business where she only has one-off courses now. And the good thing is that she's working. I have some numbers somewhere. We wrote a case study about it, but she was basically working 6 times less, and she ended up making more money, right? So I think there is a world for both, but I think a really important question is, what is the business that you want to build? Because that's something people often forget. I do think so, and this is the last point. I do think that there is a trend here. I do think that communities are becoming more and more important. If you look at like where we're coming from, we started, like if you look at like the online information business models, it started with emails, and then people start selling PDFs, and then it became a digital course, and then it became a digital course with a Facebook group. Right. And I think like the community aspect is becoming more and more important because the big companies they already know this, including, well, probably Uscreen, but also like ConvertKit and Teachables. And if you look at the competition, like all these companies, they're building their own communities. They're running events, both digital but also in person. They're starting newsletters because they know that once they have the community and they have the trust, and once they have the trust, they can sell whatever they want. Right, so that's the case for the big companies, but also for us as individual creators. So I think there's lots of pros and cons for both models, and but yeah, don't forget to ask yourself in the end what the business is that you want to build. This was a really long answer.
No, I love it. That's really good. That's great. That's a great answer. I think it's really insightful to hear from somebody like you, because this is your world. You know, you help these mega big influencers, some of the big out there to build their courses and memberships. And so I was very curious, genuinely, what you thought of that. So I guess in your mind, like, obviously courses are not dead. They're just different now. They're a little bit different now. Like when I first started in this industry, I was at Thinkific. Community was not a big deal. Like we had a community, but most people, they sold their courses. Here's my course on demand. When you're done, great, great. Yeah. Thank you. Here's a congratulations email with a call to action to go and take the 201 course, the next level of the course, right? Next level of the program, maybe upsell you to my, high ticket coaching or whatever, inner circle.
I think another aspect here that we shouldn't forget is that back in the day, we didn't really have content creators, right? We had big blogs, we had that, but then we also had lots of guys. Actually, we still have lots of guys who are running paid ads, right? And if you're running paid traffic, you want to make your money back soon, because if not, then you cannot. You want to sell something expensive in the front end. Maybe it's a $7 course. Then the next offer is usually more expensive because you need that money to then reinvest and keep running your ads. Right. So I think it all depends. Like if you're doing paid ads, I would definitely recommend to get your money up front. If you are a YouTuber and you have some cash and you have organic traffic, then I think charging a high ticket product up front or a mid-range ticket up front is less important. So there's so many factors.
There's so many models to play, right? Yeah, I mean, you do the paid ads game. You stop running ads. If you run the paid ads for acquisition, you need to have something to, sell them to, $7. A $7 sale is not going to pay for the ad. You're not even going to break even. So you do need to get them to the $7 program or product, whatever that is, and then be able to upsell them to the $300 or $500 course to make your money back, right? In most cases, right? In terms of click-through rates and everything, your ad spend, you need to.
You can also do a membership, of course, but then it's going to take much longer to get your money back, right? And then you're going to run out of money, and you can't keep running your ads.
And you're spending money. Yeah, and you need to spend money to run that membership each month, right? Even if you say lifetime value is 12 months at $50, that's $600. You probably spent at least a few $100 to, manage the community and all that stuff per member, So it's an interesting model. What have you typically done the ads in the beginning, or do you typically advise running ads once the whole thing is developed?
So again, this depends on your strategy, right, and what your strengths are. Like if you are a die-hard marketer, and you want to make money online, then I would go down the ClickFunnels route, right? Which is basically you create a product, you run ads, you test lots of different ads, you increase, you improve the products, and you try out different offers, and you build your business on paid traffic. I mean that's not the game that we are playing. It's a game that I used to play many years ago. It's not the game I'm playing anymore because again we're working with content creators who already have an audience. Right. So I think in that case you can still run ads, but I wouldn't start with that. I would first make sure that you have a good product. A product that's really good and that people really like, and that you have good testimonials. And then once you've done that, once you've done the research and you have created a good course, people are happy about it, they want more. Once you have all that validation, I think then you can run ads as kind of a way to add petrol to the fire. At least run some retargeting ads, right? So run ads to people who have either checked out your website or your sales page, or people who are subscribed to your YouTube channel, or who have liked your Instagram or Facebook page. That works almost in any case.
All the time,
that works almost all the time. And then on top of that, like if that works, you can also try to target colder audiences, right? Which is a bit more tricky. But I wouldn't start with that for sure.
Yeah, no, that's good. That's really good advice. What would you advise for a creator that is not doing a membership? They're doing courses only. And so they have to keep creating new courses. Because they sell to somebody okay, great, that person is really happy, they want to buy something else. They don't have a membership to plug into, which I personally think is probably the better way to go, but then now they either have to trade time for money through coaching, which most of them don't want to do, or they have to build another course. So do you find people still like really happy with that model, or are they saying, I don't want to build one-off courses anymore. I'll build one big course to attract, and then I want to create something more recurring, or I want to do like high-ticket coaching and work with 10 clients at, $5,000 a month, kind of thing.
Yeah. So the question here is like, how do you design your course ecosystem, right?
Right.
Okay. This is a good question, right? And this is a question that we think about a lot, and I think it really depends on the niche. So I'm going to give you some examples, right?
Yeah.
So if you're teaching. Do you speak any foreign languages? Any Tagalog in the family?
Yeah. Tagalog, yeah.
You speak that?
I do, yeah.
Salamat.
Salamat, yeah.
That's hi, right?
Okay, that's thank you. That's thank you.
Thank you.
Kamusta? Kamusta is hello.
Okay.
It's like Spanish. Yeah.
So let's say you're teaching Tagalog.
Tagalog.
Tagalog. Okay. Then often what you don't want to do is create one big course. Like if you're going to university to study, I don't know, to get your master in Arabic, they're not going to teach you everything in one semester. Right? It's too much information. Instead, you learn things level by level. Right? So in language learning, it's like A1 level, that's like complete beginner level, right? And then you have upper beginner, A2, you have all these levels. So in the world of language learning, it makes sense to sell level specific courses, right? So you start with a beginner course because 80% of the people who follow you, depends on your audience, most of the time 80% are beginners. Start with an A1 course, and then the best way to grow your business is by doing more of what's working, to sell more to existing customers, right? So you give them an A2 course and a B1 course and a B2 course until, like C1, that's like where people are fluent, until you have reached that. And then you can do other tricks like, okay, now I have these general language courses, and now I can run like monthly. It doesn't have to be a membership. It can also be monthly challenges.
Oh, yeah.
All right? Yeah. For example, this month in January, we're going to master the past tense.
Right.
And then the next month, we're going to master the future tense. And then, depending on the language, right? Each language has these pain points, these things that are really difficult to learn. Like in Spanish, it could be verbs, for example, like verb endings or irregular verbs. So I'm a really big fan of that model rather than a membership, because you can sell a monthly challenge for a much higher price than a membership, because a membership is just of course depends on how you sell it, right? But usually, like when you sell a challenge, a 1 month challenge, there is a specific end goal, right? An end result that you get after the 30 days, which makes the offer more valuable. On top of that, if you sell a challenge, you can run that for a month, and then you can say, okay, that's it, now I'm going to stop. If you have a membership, you need, depending on what your promise is, of course, you need to keep creating content all the time.
Yeah.
So that could be a good hybrid solution in between, right? Yeah. It's not really it's a course.
Yeah.
And it's almost a membership at the same time, but you don't commit to
ongoing.
Yeah, you do not really. Yeah, you don't really commit to something ongoing. That said, that's for language learning. If it's for fitness, I still think that memberships are a great model, because workouts do not really change.
Yeah.
You get in shape and you need to stay in shape.
Right.
I think the same thing so one of my good friends has an academy where he teaches people in the Netherlands, actually. He does it in the Dutch language, how to day trade the stock market, right? And he has this huge community and everybody's really happy with it. He has very good testimonials. And yeah, basically every afternoon they come together and they trade stocks and they share like what they're doing. And apparently that's a really good model for that niche. So yeah, I think it all depends on the niche. It all depends on the business that you want to build. Like what we do at Creator Empires, we also run a community for content creators who sell courses, right? It's very small, 25 people in it. They all have a significant audience and are all doing at least 6 figures per year in courses, some of them 7. we could also sell courses and run ads. We don't want to do that because it's not the business that we want to build.
Yeah.
We want to, I like running digital events and in-person events. And yeah, I think that our members also appreciate this format. So yeah, I can't tell you what's better. It just depends on so many things. Hopefully the listener gets an idea of what could work best for them.
Exactly.
After hearing about all these examples.
Exactly. I mean, if you're listening, hopefully there's not one right model. It really depends on you and what you prefer, what kind of lifestyle you want to have, and you can be successful in many different models. Jan has shared a couple of them, and you can do really well in any of those models if you do it well, But yeah, this has been really good. I would just take a quick look at the time, Jan, and I asked you for like 20 minutes, and I always do this almost every interview. We're almost at 40 minutes, I'm sure, like probably over. But yeah, I wanted to just I want to wrap it up. I think you need to definitely come back because there's so much that you guys are working on, so much knowledge that you have that because we talk about memberships and courses and different revenue streams on this podcast, and we definitely need to get you back on again. Before you run though, if there's anybody that wants to work with you, anybody that wants to start, they've got a good following, but they want to monetize that through courses or memberships, what's the best way to connect with you and just everything that you're doing?
Yeah, just go to creatorempires.com to get an idea of what we do, and there is a button there. I think it says like "Let's talk." Send us a message there. So far, and this is a little announcement actually. Like we've only been working with. Like so far, we've only taken on clients that have the potential to do over $1 million per year in revenue in their course business, right?
Yep.
We get quite a few requests every now and then, and then we always have to say no. What we're gonna run an experiment. We're gonna take on some of the. And by the way, that's a partnership model, right? Where it's like an equity deal where we get like a revenue share at least for a year. It's a very high barrier to entry. Like it scares off lots of people, right? Because it's quite a commitment. And then also there's lots of people out there, creators out there that already have a course business, right? So then the revenue share model doesn't really work because now what? They need to give up a share of their revenue of a business of the revenue that they have already built, or of the business that they have already built. So we are open to talk about like consultation packages where we help them at least double their revenue, or let's say grow their revenue by at least 50% in like a 3-month program or something. Of course, that's only something that we can sell if we actually think that we can do it, right? So we're first going to take a look at your profile, your existing sales systems, and if we think that's something that we can do, then we can also make you an offer in the form of like a one-off consultation fee. So yeah, no, just reach out and then we will have a chat.
Yeah.
And see if we can help.
And see what's the best fit, right? Perfect. So I'll put the link to creatorempires.com. Also connect with Jan on LinkedIn. It's a great place. He's also sharing over there. And then you guys also have your podcast on all the platforms, right? Called Creator Smarts Podcast. That's a really good podcast. I would suggest you listen to episode 175. It's a good one. It's the one that I was on. And then of course Jan is also on Instagram if you want to see all the fun pictures behind the scenes of all the things that Jan is doing. So Jan, thank you so much for hanging out with me, man. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Rob.
Yeah, I know you're a busy man. So yeah, thanks for hanging out with me, and I will put all the links in the show notes. We'll see you in the next episode.